Your democracy was taken from you decades ago, you fucking idiot.
Johnny, still on all this migrant stuff. Where did all this bloody immigration where did it all stem from? Yeah, I don't know, Johnny. Obviously in the dim and distant past, somebody must have sat down with governments and said, this is what we want to do. This is how we want to bloody spread the load of world bloody population growth across the entire bloody... Well, we don't know what they say in these meetings, you're right, Johnny. Yeah, because there seems an absolute reluctance on most governments' parts to stop it. Who started all this bloody stuff?
All cultures are not equal. Some cultures bring human degradation. Immigration is a massive issue. It's what we're seeing in the Western world. And those Muslims who model their lives after Muhammad, as they're commanded to do, who take the Hadith and the Quran seriously, those aren't people who assimilate. And those are people...
I mean, the bloody US border is a classic case. It's absolutely unfathomable what they're bloody doing down there, apart from the fact that it must be deliberate.
And I think that's also part of the problem, you know.
But Johnny, wouldn't it be better to bloody... But Johnny...
You know, so many things are happening at once, and every day you're seeing the flood of migrants come in, and people can't even absorb the level of craziness that we're dealing with in the country right now.
Yeah, it must be deliberate. I mean, you just don't let millions of people get across your border, especially the US that was so strict on everybody coming to the US. Oh, yeah. Coming to the US, you had to sign all these papers and get green cards and all that fucking bullshit. And now, it seems if you just want to go and live in the US, you get yourself to Mexico, struggle yourself across the border, pretend you're bloody Mexican, and hey presto, you're in. Oh, yeah. We have no bloody idea. And much the same has happened in Europe, England especially, France, and a few countries are bloody getting a bit sick of it, only because the population is putting the pressure on the governments to do something.
Oh my God!
Now Klaus and his cronies at the World Economic Forum, Klaus, they got all these bloody stupid fucking things planned for the general population.
For that matter, I think whoever the next conservative president is going to take on the power of the elites, which I've mentioned earlier. But the thing that I want to drive home here, the very reason that I'm here at Davos, is to explain to many people in this room and who are watching, with all due respect, nothing personal, but that you're part of the problem.
Yeah, he's bloody right, you know.
But that you're part of the problem. Political elites tell the average people on 3 or 4 or 5 issues that the reality is X, when in fact reality is Y. Take immigration. Elites tell us that open borders and even illegal immigration are okay. The average person tells us in the United States that both rob them of the American way of life. They're right.
And I've said this before, Johnny, if you held some snap referendum, not go on for fucking weeks and weeks and get into all this drama with the referendum, if you had a snap referendum and just asked, do you want us to keep on bringing people in here? I reckon 90% of the fucking people in the countries would say no.
All of it is about top-down control of populations. For as long as we've kept records of the actions of those, and there are always those who are obsessed with power, we've seen the ruthless determination of a tiny minority to tell everyone else what to do, what to think, how to live, how to be. But just because total control is the fantasy of the few doesn't make it so.
And again, Johnny, it's the people least affected by all these bloody decisions. So the more you bloody get these people in, it's the people least affected that bloody make the decisions, because it doesn't affect them. I mean, it's a bloody stroke of genius.
Your democracy was taken from you decades ago, you fucking idiot.
What's happening with the globalist onslaught in Britain? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Well,
national sovereignty.
National sovereignty.
Which had been surrendered more or less to the EU.
But it didn't stay as just a small group of nations that were sort of working economically together. It morphed into something much, much more sinister and much more dictatorial. And they are imperialistic in nature. They consider themselves to be the dominant partner with any individual sovereign nation state who is a member. But the problem is that Boris Johnson...
That's true.